Well, welcome back to the GT Cup Europe Championship, everybody. Round 2 at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS about to get underway. But first and foremost, we have a qualifying session to take you through to set up the grid ahead of race 1 that will be coming up later on this afternoon. We are here for the 7th time in our history for this championship. It has been a fairly cold start to this morning, but nonetheless things have started to heat up, and certainly in terms of the championship things have definitely heated up, with race wins going the way of Pietro Armani and Ludovico Longoni, and also Ian Rodriguez and Luca Franca for the brand new Fames team. We're going to be in for a real treat with a very competitive grid lineup to take us through, with a new class as well added to the field ahead of the new season. But we're here on round 2. My name is of course George Morgan, your commentator. Alongside me once again, he's back at Spa, back-to-back years. It's Ewan Dunlap.
Oh, it feels like a second home, George. I wish it was. What a place to be. Yeah, pleasure once again. Really looking forward to the GT Cup. Great first round in Portimao. 2 points only separating our top 2 teams. And then there is a bit of a gap back to third place, Leandro Martins and Dieter Sveps. 13 points in total for them. But great weekend, great drama to the very last corner on that second race. Heartbreaking for Laura van den Hengel and Paul Meyer to pick up second place in race 1, in fact. So close to that first win, but winning class. It has been a great start of the championship, and we expect more of the same here at Spa. 1 race today, 1 race tomorrow.
Yeah, you join us here at a circuit that's opened up back in August of 1921, 103 years ago. Home, of course, to the Belgian Grand Prix in the realms of Formula 1. We're here at this 19-turn, 7.004 kilometre circuit, 4.352 miles here at Stavelot in the heart of the Ardennes forest. As you can see, very picturesque as the drivers now make their way through the final, well, in towards the final sector, I should say. Now, of course, we do have some free practice times to take you through. Now, you mentioned, obviously, Paul Meyer, Laura van den Hengel, so strong coming into this weekend, and also I'm going to be undertaking a little bit of housekeeping, folks, so stay with me on this. But they registered the first fastest time in FP1 with a 2:21.862. Now, it's important to know that after the incident that Laura van den Hengel sustained in race 2 back at Portimao, they could not repair the car. They went out and got another one. That's exactly what they did. Laura van den Hengel, her words coming into the weekend, she felt very strong coming off the back of FP1. It was a rocket, she said. So she's very excited as to what they're capable of. Paul Meyer, of course, we know how brilliant he is. His first stint in that first race was unbelievable. Set the tone for Laura van den Hengel. It wasn't until the penultimate into the final corner where that overall victory slipped through her fingers, but it was still enough to bring home the Pro-Am win.
I mean, I know how they feel. When I crash my Porsche 992 GT3, I just go and get a new one as well. Just nip down the shop, pick one up. So yeah, I'm completely in the boat with that one. We are already over 3 minutes into this qualifying session. We're getting a couple of purple sectors coming through. First one from Tommy Pintos in the car number 69. That's the SMC Motorsport McLaren Artura Trophy Evo in the Pro-Am competition. Then occupying second, third and fourth. Well, no flying laps yet really coming in, but they should be coming in just a moment's time.
Of course, 2 races to bring you and 2 qualifying sessions across the weekend. Now, we hark back to 12 months ago. Oh, a little bit of a moment there for Pietro Armani and Ludovico Longoni. Of course, Longoni in the car ahead of this first qualifying session, just getting it slightly wrong coming out of Rivage, heading in towards Jackie Expend. Tommy Pintos in his first start this weekend in the GT Cup Europe Championship, going purple in the opening sector. Let's just watch this again from our broadcast camera. What a save, I have to say, from Ludovico Longoni in the 22 Porsche. Very big moment. Could have been a lot worse, that's for sure, but the ZRS car still remaining out on track, all 4 wheels now back on to the grey stuff. Of course, they're representing in the brand new silver class that was introduced at the start of this season as well, as yet more time start to thoroughfare their way in. Remember, folks, still very early into the session. It will take a while before we do get into the nitty-gritty, but this is the new car we all wanted to talk about. Tommy Pintos, currently top of the timing tower right now. We're watching yet another manufacturer join this series, the McLaren Artura Look at that beautiful bit of kit.
My favourite colour as well. Absolutely beautiful. Now, George, you mentioned the silver class. What is the silver class for some newbies?
Well, the silver class, bear in mind, we do, of course, have 3 classes on board. Of course, silver class, the top class in terms of the drivers that are out on track. They're going to be fighting for the overall wins, of course, made up of 2 silver driver from silver driver categories. Of course, then we have Pro-Am, which up until then, up until the start of this season, was the highest ranked class on this grid, but that's made up of 1 amateur driver and then 1 pro driver, or in other words, a silver or a gold class driver. Then you have AM class, which is made up of pure amateur drivers that then take to the track this weekend. They will, of course, be fighting for the AM class championships. So the Artura that we're currently seeing out on track, of course, driven by Tommy Pintos, they are representing in the Pro-Am this weekend. So 1 Pro-Am, 1 pro driver, I should say, gold or silver, and they are, of course, representing silver class here this weekend, and then also an amateur driver alongside him.
We are starting to get some just about flying laps in. We are getting into the 2:25s, which is nowhere near the fastest times in free practice yesterday and this morning. And we are into 13.5 minutes. Lars Zanen on top. 2 green sectors for him on his current lap. What was the fastest time from free practice, George? I know you mentioned it.
Well, we mentioned Laura van den Hengel, Paul Meyer being fastest in FP1, but the actual fastest time across all 3 sessions, because we had FP2, Simone Patrinicola and Luca De Marchi for Mertal Motorsport were incidentally fastest in FP2, but not only fastest in FP2 with a 2:20.583, fastest at every single practice session so far this weekend. So they are going to be ones to watch.
And that was 2:20.
That was a 2:20.583. We are a ways off, about 4 seconds off in comparison to Tommaso Lavati's first fastest time at the moment. Tommy Pintos, though, looking to eat well and truly into that delta deficit. He has gone faster by 2.5 seconds coming out of that middle sector. So this is definitely more in line with what we've come to expect from the very best. But we'll wait and see when he crosses the lines to see the true extent of this lap. At the moment, it is Tommaso Lavati on top. Lars Zanen, also purple in the middle sector as well with a 65.904. Tommaso Lavati at the top for now. Here comes Tommy Pintos now as he makes his way towards the line. First fastest with a 2:21.502. That's faster than Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel in FP1, and faster than Stina's Long and Nicholas Salins in the bronze test from FP3, but still not faster than Simone Patrinicola and Luca De Marchi, as now Longoni goes second fastest. Pinto still up in the top. Lars Zanen, who was improving and purple at one point, now only enough for green, remains third fastest, but all eyes now on Cosimo Papi, who is purple in that middle sector.
Yeah, purple by about 10,000ths of a second. They all count. Nice to see the AM driver up there in the top 5, Fran van Bugliotti, in the car number 33, and that's the GGL Racing Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car. That's Lars Zanen in the 53 in front of you. The Q1 track racing, also plenty of Porsches in this week. There's almost half the field or more in the Porsches in the GT Cup.
Have such a strong representation with various teams on the grid. Q1 track racing, we talk about them being vast supporters of this series for many, many years, winning countless championships as well. We look back at the great Jan Laursen, who has of course made his mark in this series many times over, went in and dominated at this very track back in 2022 as well. And since then, we've seen the likes of Nicholas van Dierendonk and Bas Schouten, of course, back in 2019, go on to do so well as well. Of course, still very much paying homage to this series, Nicholas van Dierendonk, by competing in such a lengthy stint as he has done since back then, since its very inception. But last year, it really was all about the likes of Ivan Velasco, Luca Ludwig, who went on to win the title. Ivan Velasco, as Cosimo Papi goes first fastest at the moment at the very top. We have, of course, got Ludovico Longoni. Now remember, Longoni and Armani both going on to take victory back at Portimao to kickstart the season. They are purple coming out of the first sector, losing a little bit of time though in the middle, but it's still a personal best for Ludovico Longoni at the moment. Now whether that translates to purple coming out of sector 3, we will find out as Paul Meyer goes to the top now for Burgers Motorsport, represented by HWM. That's a very good sign in that brand new Porsche they have brought to the table this time. Dieter Schweppes moves into second fastest for the AM contingent as well, as Lars Zanen pops into third fastest now, removing moving Papi down into fourth. Now, where does Ludovico Longoni go? Because he's got a little bit of work to do. Needs a mighty final sector to rein the gap in. Pops into fourth fastest. 2 silvers now, 3 and 4, as Luca Franca briefly goes 6th fastest, now dropped to 7th, as Vale Bugliotti drops into 6th.
So Paul Meyer gotten used to that brand new car very, very quickly. Just also mention Van a pure passenger in the accident as well in race number 2.
Yeah,
so that is the
was
way
Van den Hengel, who unfortunately was, obviously she was starting the race, just got caught blindsided really by some movements going on the left-hand side of her by the grass. One of the cars getting onto the grass, just losing traction right on the straight as they got going, and she got pushed into the barrier. And speaking about getting pushed into the barrier, that's the 91, if I'm right, Luca Franca in the barrier. It looks like the other car is still going, but it looks, I don't like the look of that front right there, Ewan. Is it getting going? It looks okay. He might be okay. It looks like it's scraping on that front right.
Yeah, definitely.
On the wheel arch
on the
there.
angle, isn't it?
Some possible suspension damage for Luca Franca, for Fame's team, who have come back after winning on debut back at Portimao.
That's a long way back to the pits as well. That is Les Combes, isn't it? Is that
well, that's just before. That's in fact just coming up towards Kemmel, through the Kemmel Straight.
Wow.
So possibly getting it wrong on the outset of Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's keep our eyes peeled now, folks. This is Luca Franca for Fame's team, coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion. The car looked like it was all sorts coming through the those very. I mean, the elevation change can really catch you blindsided, but trying to get the car to the stop. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if those tyres are obviously flat-spotted, but I think just by the very nature of the slide in itself, with the harsh braking that he put down, did look like that car was all shapes, so going up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Maybe some unbalance from the suspension or something like that. I'm not quite sure. As Paul Meyer goes faster again with a 2:19.6, and now we have really started to eat into those faster times. We have smashed free practice now, folks. That is the thing of the past. Alex Ryman pops into 4th fastest this time around as well. Welcome back, Alex Ryman.
Paul Meyer already had a 2:19, but it was deleted
at
turn 17, so he's back into the 2:19s.
And the first one of the session as well, the fastest time we've seen all weekend from Paul Meyer, who was so venomous back at Portimao in delivering such a major result for the Burgers Motorsport team. And I'm sure Laura van den Hengel is watching on with great delight with this. Obviously, very close to getting the win last time. Paul Meyer going purple again, finding 83 thousandths in that first sector.
Yeah, absolutely flying and flashing those lights, saying, get out of the way, I'm the quickest, but I can go even faster. He has got traffic, there comes the flashing. Porsche in front of him will be very, very aware. He is on a good lap time, 39.041 through sector 1. Yeah, 0.08 of a second quicker than his own fastest lap time. Can he find the traffic? Can he get the traffic out the way?
He is an FIA GT4 Europe champion in 2010 with 5 wins, 12 podiums and 9 poles. Paul Meyer comes here with quite a wealth of experience and a reputation as well. To part of the 24-hour series as well this year, already registering 2 podiums in the 992 class, and in 2024 also competing there, taking a podium and a pole that time around. Has also taken part in the 24 Hours Middle Eastern Championship this year with a pole to his name in that as well, and in prior Porsche competition as well in Benelux in 2024, coming second in that championship with 2 wins and 6 podiums. On top of that, 2 poles as well. So if you've got one driver alongside you, ideally you want it to be Paul Meyer. He has gone purple again, remains purple inside that middle sector time. Not necessarily his best middle sector time at a 64.766, but it's enough, and he's going to get a nice drag here through towards the bus stop chicane, but he doesn't want it to lead to a slowdown coming through to the final 2 corners on this circuit. Now, how much is this either going to cost him or gain him? We'll find out. Of course, has got a little bit of a stopper in front of him as it stands as they fly up through towards the line. I think that's the Scudiccio car. Babini behind the wheel of that one in 6th fastest. Paul Meyer now, once again, still remains fastest. His last lap, 2:19.911, still at the top of the shop, but again, lost time in that final and middle sector.
He is topped by over 3/4 of a second, folks. That is the difference. Had a Dieter Sveps in the 911 and Cass. Oh no, we've got to change it. Lars Zanen goes second with a 2:24.19.
Just under 3/4 now,
yes.
If anything. Only by mere hundredths as it stands, but Ludovico Longoni, 10th quickest now as Nunez departs into 11th. We run on board now with Dieter Schweppes, who goes second fastest and brings that time deficit all the way down to within 0.3 of a second. It's now just over 2.5 to 0.3 as it stands. Yet another great display on parts here of Dieter Schweppes, and of course Leandro Martins, who will be taking the seat ahead of qualifying too, but obviously will be there for the race when the driver change window opens up. We've got a personal best from Fabio Babini, who, of course, we talk about his rich racing catalogue. Nunez pops into 6th fastest as Diego Nunez.
Babini also racing in the GT Open this weekend. Busy weekend for him. 4th, an endurance race and 2 GT Cup races.
Well, it doesn't look like Luca Franco is suffering too much. He just popped into 12th fastest. So what looked to be a little bit of malshapenness on that front right seems to have been a thing of the past. So Luca Franco is still operating at a reasonable speed at the moment. But
the 911 slowing down the LMR Motorsport.
Yeah, well, it's his last lap, Franco, I do want to say, 2.3 seconds away. Patra Nicola, who went fastest in FP2 with Luca De Marchi, now moves into 3rd fastest. That's the highest placed silver at the moment, but obviously the job of the silvers is to be the highest overall. Alex Ryman, though, has gone purple in the first sector, the 64 thousandths of a second improvement on top of Paul Myers' fastest time. 3 minutes and 50 to go. There is still time out there, Ewan.
Nice to see a Pro, an AM and a Silver occupying the top 3. So if you're new to this, blue for the Pro-Am, green for the AM, and silver coloured naturally for the Silver. Must say as well, track temperatures absolutely flying up over the last half an hour. We've gone from 19 up to 23 degrees, hence the added speed, and the air temp, we're still it's about 13 degrees overall on the air temp. It's beautiful at Spa, not as hot as yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately it's not a beautiful lap for Alex Ryman, who, despite going purple in the first sector, has seen it all dissipate in the middle sector. He's not the only one to suffer that same fate. Of course, we did see Paul Myers' fastest lap, despite him being first fastest right now. He was on an improvement earlier on, but just seemingly lost it towards the very end as he dipped out of the second sector. And again, we have a little moment here.
That's one way to get around.
Well, that's, I must say, you just see the flashing lights movement as well, coming down in towards the bus stop. I'm sure the 56 Porsche.
He's done well there to hang on.
He's done exceptionally well to hang on to that. That's Diego Nunez. Diego Nunez, who was flashing there, just trying to get past and ended up onto the grass. That will no doubt cost him quite a degree of time. And it's never ideal to take that tighter line coming through the bus stop chicane, as we now watch as the 33 of Franvel Bugliotti now looks to fly up through Eau Rouge and rally on. Nicholas Salins popping into 14th fastest now, with Berberic Martini down in 15th. That, of course, is Antoine Berberic. Martini down in 15th place, 2.8 off the top. Still quite the gains to be found from all those, pretty much from P7 downwards, as Luca Franco now goes into 8th fastest. More time found. Tommy Pintos in the McLaren Artura in its debut weekend here in the GT Cup Europe. Purple in that first sector, Ewan. And it's by a strong margin. They are over 3.5 tenths quicker in the first sector alone, and there's still 3/4 of the lap remaining.
Purple in the first sector because he was purple through the timing gun, 277 kilometres an hour. The McLaren is absolutely ripping through the air. Flashing, I'm not sure who he's flashing there, but he's having a good time on the fingers.
Yeah, I think just to entertain the fans at home, no less, I'm sure. But obviously McLaren with a very popular outlay for this season's International GT Open, and it seems now with one representing here this time around in the GT Cup Europe Championship, he'll be looking to dig a little deeper and maybe even find something extra coming through Sector 2 as well. Remember, Paul Myers' time, the fastest time, a 2:19.686, losing a little bit of time in the middle, but it's still a personal best here for Tommy Pintos. It might be the case, just the McLaren has that extra burst in that opening sector where the long straight is there leading it through towards Les Combes. Things get rather technical coming through Sector 2, so maybe that isn't necessarily the McLaren's forte, certainly as far as the Artura is concerned. But let's see where the middle or the final sector stands as he ventures in towards the bus stop chicane. 52 seconds to go. Paul Meyer has said that's enough. So is Lars Zanen. Dieter Schweppes as well. They're waiting for the timer to tick to 0. Here comes Tommy Pintos looking for a big improvement, enough to go 6th fastest. He's inside that top 10 and he's ahead of Berberic Martini, who has popped into 7th fastest. Ryman remains in 8th. He won't go out again, but there is still more improvements out on track.
Yeah, very well done indeed. 5 Porsches in the top 5 spaces. Then McLaren, who was that spinning? That is the number 57.
67 of
67 GDL Racing. Giacomo Gibera in the Porsche 992. He's in the AM competition, and he was in 17th place, so be no improvement there. And we are now into the very closing stages. 8 seconds left. So unless you cross the line now, which the number 33 has just done, the GDL Racing for Bugliotti, this will be last chance saloon if you want to knock Paul Mayer in the number 7 off the top spot. But they are in the pit. Zane in the pit, Svep's in the pit. Cassimo Papi is the only man on track in the top 5.
Tommy Pintos has managed to find...
Pintos has again set a blistering first sector. As you said, George, more technical in the second, so he's had a good few goes out there now. Let's see if he can make a few of those tenths and hundredths of a second that he lost in the second sector on his last lap round. Lost about 0.5 in sector 2. That will take us to about 1 minute and 40 or so, give us a good indication. One of the last men out on track. Plenty of checkered flags coming down. Plenty strolling into pits. A couple more laps deleted for car number 91 and the 56. That's the Fames team and the LMR Motorsport of Nunes and Furter. Let's have a look.
Look at the full commitment over the curbs as well, coming through the La Fanier chicane. And now as he enters Corbeil Paulfret, again losing time in that middle sector. It's still a green middle sector, though, despite obviously forfeiting the purple lap by a good over 6.5 tenths of a second. This might not be enough for first fastest, but this could yet eat in to those that are above him regardless. Fabio Babini, remember, currently sat in 5th fastest. Cosimo Papi as well, who's also taken the checkered flag in 4th place. So let's see where Tommy Pintos can place the McLaren Artura in its debut weekend in the GT Cup Europe. Flying out now of this final corner now. Checkered flag in sight, crossing the line. Where's Tommy Pintos going to go? Not an improvement, losing too much time in that final sector. 6th fastest is where he will remain. Paul Mayer, the fastest man out on track. It is another P1 visit in qualifying for Paul Mayer and Laura van den Hengel after a beautiful first qualifying session here at Spa. We do, of course, have some improvements as well from Francois Bugliotti, who is now making his way towards the line as well to bring an end to his session. But as it stands, as we now watch as Ludovico Longoni comes across the line to take the checkered flag as well, he will remain 9th fastest. We will, of course, wait for Bugliotti to also cross the line in his own right, currently registering green 1st and 2nd sectors. He's just crossed the line now and has popped into 10th fastest. So well done, Francois Bugliotti. 3rd fastest in the AM class in this session as well. But it's Paul Mayer as part of the Pro-Am contingent, also partnering Laura van den Hengel, who are fastest here off the back of qualifying 1. They're going to be starting on pole position ahead of race 1 later on this afternoon. Lars Zanen in 2nd place, highest silver with Dieter Schweppes and Cosimo Papi representing AM class in 3 and 4. Fabio Babini in 5th, Tommy Pintos in the McLaren Artura in 6th, Antoine Berberic Martini in 7th, Alex Ryman in 8th, Ludovico Longoni in 9th, Francois Bugliotti just crossing the line into 10th place and 3rd in AM class here for him as well at GDL Porsche. Further down we also have Luca Maria Attianesi as well down in that spot with H. de Mello down in 12th, Luca Franca in 13th place, Diego Nunes in 14th, Nicholas Salins in 15th, Rodri Gillian in 16th place for Tommaso Lavati down in 17th, Giacomo Giabergia in 18th, and then Manuel Canizares in 19th place. Nicholas van Dierendonk down in 20th for Q1 Track Racing. Camel Perrion for the Romanian outfit down in 21st. Simone Patrinicola in 22nd. Leo Reinbeek in 23rd, and then comes Davide Larini in 24. Luciano Privitello in 25th. Stefano Zerbi 26th. Luigi Peroni in 27th, and Javier Ripoll Jr. down in 28th spot for EST1 Racing. So from all of us here at Spa, do join us later on as we look to go racing in the GT Cup at 4:10. We'll see you then.